Emily, could you repeat that? The lawyer's voice wavered, caught between disbelief and awe. The courtroom, which had been buzzing with murmurs just moments earlier, now fell into a haunting silence. Every eye turned toward the small girl seated on the witness stand, her legs barely reaching the chair's edge. She clung to a stuffed bunny, its worn for a testament to the countless nights it had been her comfort through storms. I said, Emily's voice was quiet but unwavering, Daddy didn't do it, but I know who did. Gasps rippled across the room, crashing like waves against jagged rocks. The judge leaned forward, his gavel hesitating in midair. Emily's mother, hands trembling, covered her mouth, tears streaking her face. The prosecutor, visibly taken aback, pushed his glasses up and flipped frantically through his notes. Even Emily's father, sitting at the defense table with dark circles under his eyes, lifted his gaze, hope flickering in his expression for the first time in months. The lawyer leaned in gently. Emily, can you tell us who it was? The little girl glanced down, running her fingers over her bunny's ear as if drawing strength from it. I can, she whispered, lifting her head to meet the room's collective stare. But before she could utter another word, the prosecutor shot to his feet. Objection, Your Honor. The judge slammed his gavel. Order in the court. His voice echoed, but the tension was unbearable. Every breath was held captive, waiting, hanging on to what Emily might say next. It hadn't always been like this. A few months earlier, the Thompson family was just like any other on their quiet suburban street. Emily, a bright, imaginative 8-year-old, loved nothing more than playing in the park with her dad, Matt, her hero. He was funny, kind, and always willing to dive into her made-up adventures. Her mom, Sarah, worked long hours as a nurse, but whenever she was home, their little house overflowed with laughter and the scent of fresh-baked cookies. Then, on a warm summer evening, as fireflies flickered outside the living room window, everything changed. Matt had kissed Emily goodnight, tucked her in, just as always, but before the sun could rise, the neighborhood was bathed in flashing red and blue lights. Police cars lined the driveway. Officers swarmed the front yard. Matt was being led away in handcuffs. Daddy! Emily shrieked, racing down the stairs in her pajamas. What's happening? Sarah pulled her back, her own face pale, drawn. Go back to your room, sweetheart, she whispered, voice breaking. It's going to be okay. But it wasn't. Matt had been accused of a crime so serious, it shattered their world. Their neighbor, Mr. Richards, had been attacked in his home and left for dead. Witnesses swore they saw Matt fleeing the scene that night. The evidence? It looked damning. His fingerprints were on the back door handle. His wallet, found near the victim. Matt pleaded innocence. But no one believed him. Friends turned their backs. Neighbors whispered. People Sarah had once called friends now crossed the street to avoid her. At school, Emily became an outcast. Other kids avoided her like she carried something contagious. Their parents had warned them. Stay away from the daughter of a criminal. Sarah, drowning under legal bills, took on extra shifts. But she was barely staying afloat. Emily tried to be strong, hiding her tears, pretending she didn't hear her mother crying at night. But deep inside, she missed her dad. And the loneliness ached like a bruise that refused to fade. Then, one afternoon, everything changed again. Emily had been playing in the backyard when she overheard 2 police officers outside, talking near the neighbor's house. They didn't notice the small girl crouched behind the fence, hidden in the bushes like a spy. Something about this case doesn't sit right with me, one officer muttered. The other shrugged. Maybe. But the DA's got enough to convict. The fingerprints alone. Still, the first officer interrupted, lowering his voice. I keep thinking about those other break-ins. Same neighborhood. Same MO. But no arrests. Emily didn't hear the rest. She was already sprinting inside. She had to tell her mom. But when she burst into the house, breathless, Sarah barely looked up. Not now, honey, she murmured, rubbing her temples. I can't deal with this right now. Emily felt helpless. That night, curled under her blankets, clutching her bunny, an idea began to take shape. She didn't know much about laws. or evidence. But she knew one thing. Her dad was innocent. And if no one else could prove it, she would. The weeks that followed were a blur of secret missions. Emily listened carefully to conversations between adults, scribbling notes in her diary. She asked innocent-sounding questions that were anything but. She even sneaked into her dad's lawyer's office once, pretending she was lost on the way to the bathroom, just for a quick peek at the case files. And that's when she found it. A detail everyone had missed. Mr. Richards, the victim, had recently fought with another neighbor over money. Mr. Baldwin. Emily's stomach twisted. She had seen him before, sneaking around late at night, lurking in the shadows. Could he be the real culprit? But how could she prove it? She was just a kid. No one would listen to her. Then fate intervened. One evening, while flipping through TV channels, Emily stopped on a courtroom drama. She watched, captivated, as a young witness took the stand, speaking the truth, despite the fear. The crowd on screen gasped. The lawyer turned to the jury and said something that sent shivers down her spine. Sometimes, even the smallest voices can be the loudest. Emily's grip on her bunny tightened. Maybe, just maybe, she could do it too. When the trial began, Emily begged her mother to let her go. Sarah hesitated. She didn't want Emily to see her father like that. But Emily was determined. "Please, Mom," she pleaded. "I have to be there." Finally, Sarah relented. Emily sat quietly in the back of the courtroom, her bunny nestled in her arms, waiting, watching. The days passed in agonizing slowness. The prosecutor painted Matt as a desperate man with a reason to hurt Mr. Richards. Witness after witness took the stand, testifying against him. Hope began slipping through Emily's fingers. Then, on the third day, something incredible happened. During a break, Emily overheard the prosecutor on the phone. "Key evidence is missing," he muttered. The security camera was damaged during the break-in. Emily's heart pounded. That camera. She had seen Mr. Baldwin tampering with it days before the crime. She had even told her mom, but Sarah had brushed it off. This was her moment. She tugged on the lawyer's sleeve, voice urgent. "I need to talk. I know something." The lawyer hesitated, glancing at Sarah, who looked bewildered but finally nodded. And that's how Emily, trembling but resolute, found herself on the witness stand, her bunny clutched tight, as she revealed everything she knew. The courtroom exploded. The judge's gavel banged for order. But amid the chaos, Emily's gaze locked onto Mr. Baldwin. For the first time, he looked nervous. Very nervous. And then, as the judge restored silence, Emily spoke the words that made everyone freeze. "If you don't believe me," she said softly, "I can tell you where to look." The air was electric, the tension unbearable, because what Emily was about to say could change everything.